Macaulay Culkin once said that most of his money was locked away in a protected account until he turned 18. Sounds responsible, right? But behind that small detail was a childhood that looked nothing like the fame people saw on screen. At just 10 years old, he became a global superstar after Home Alone. The world saw a clever, funny kid. But what was really happening behind the scenes? By the time he was 8, he was already working non-stop. While other kids played outside, he was memorizing lines, hitting marks, and moving from set to set. Between 1987 and 1993, he appeared in 14 films. That's more than 2 movies a year. The money was massive, sometimes millions per role. But here's the strange part. He didn't live like a star at all. So where did it all go? Most of it was controlled by his father, Kit Culkin. He managed everything. The roles, the schedule, the money. And despite earning millions, Macaulay didn't even have a proper bedroom. He slept on a couch while others enjoyed the comfort his work paid for. It didn't add up. How could the biggest child star in the world feel so trapped? His days were tightly controlled. Filming, rehearsals, travel. Over and over again. Sometimes he was locked in hotel rooms, forced to study scripts for hours. School was irregular. Friends were almost non-existent. In fact, one co-star once said he didn't even know how to play simple games like tag. Think about that. A child famous everywhere, but missing the basics of childhood. But how long could that kind of life last? When Home Alone exploded in 1990, the world fell in love with him. He was everywhere. Interviews, red carpets, headlines. But behind the smile was pressure building fast. His father's behavior became known on sets. Angry outbursts. Tension. People walking on eggshells. And at home, things were even worse. Reports later revealed physical punishment and constant control. So what happens when a child pushed this far finally reaches a breaking point? By 15, Macaulay had had enough. One weekend, he did something simple. He took a short trip without telling his father. Just a small act of freedom. But when he came back, everything exploded. The confrontation turned physical. It wasn't the first time, but this time, something changed. Instead of staying silent, he made a decision that would shock everyone. What would you do in that moment? He locked himself in a room and called 911. When the police arrived, the situation was tense. Macaulay reported the incident clearly. His father admitted to hitting him but called it punishment. No immediate charges were filed, but the moment changed everything. It was the first official record of what had been happening behind closed doors. And once that door opened, there was no going back. But what came next was even bigger. The family began to fall apart. His parents' relationship, already strained, completely broke down. A bitter custody battle followed. In the end, his mother gained custody of all the children. That decision didn't just change the family, it changed Macaulay's life. For the first time, he had space to breathe. But what about the millions he had earned? Even before turning 18, he took another bold step. He went to court to remove both parents from controlling his finances. That's not something a teenager does lightly. It meant legal battles, scrutiny, and risk. But he pushed through. The court agreed, and his fortune was placed under independent management. Just like that, the control shifted. So what does freedom actually look like after a childhood like that? He stepped away from Hollywood almost completely. 4 years, he stayed out of the spotlight. Rumors spread, some wild, some completely false. But the truth was quieter. He was healing, processing everything he had been through. It wasn't quick. It wasn't easy. But slowly, he started rebuilding his life. And when he came back, it was on his own terms. But would the world accept him again? In the early 2000s, he returned to acting, choosing smaller, more personal projects. No more pressure. No more control. Just creative freedom. And outside of work, something else changed. He found stability, real relationships. Eventually, he built a family of his own with Brenda Song. And that's where the story takes a different turn. Because this time, he was in control. Becoming a father changed everything. He focused on giving his children the childhood he never had. Love, stability, presence, no pressure, no fear, just support. In interviews, he talks about how proud he is, not just of his kids, but of himself. And that might be the most powerful part of the story. After everything he went through, he didn't just survive. He changed the ending. So when you look back at that smiling kid from Home Alone, it's easy to see the fame, the success, the laughter. But now you know the full story, the struggle behind it, the moment everything broke, and the strength it took to rebuild. The real question is, how many others are still living that hidden story today?